Hey everyone. Yeah, I kind of thought I'd do something that I did sort of an audio wise a few years ago. I guess you could say about 4 or 5 years ago. But I thought I'd kind of talk about it here, sort of give you more in depth as to what it is. Now, recently I've been talking a lot about what, you know, recently I talked about the history, well, not the history, but why Bonkers, Disney's Bonkers was, such an underrated show. You know, it was a good show, but it was underrated and was criticized by some people as well as critics. So, I explained in a two-part video there, which you could see here on my channel, as well as if you're a fan of Movie Pilot, you could access there as well. Um, and you can find it on Facebook at the moviepilot.com page. It should be there. Um, Excuse me, that's my stomach. But anyway, the what I want to talk about, and the title's right here below or above, depending on where you look. It's either here or there. Um, I want to talk about the transitional episode, New Partners on the Block. Now, New Partners on the Block was exactly what it says. It's about new partners. Basically, the premise of the episode is this. Uh, Basically, there's a major case going down, and it's got the attention of all the police force around Los Angeles, if not the country. So basically, what happens is this. Lucky and Bonkers, they're walking in, obviously, from some kind of mishap or something like that. Basically, I guess crashing the car or something. I don't really know. And they they're in, like I say, they're in this big meeting involving all the police officers. It's during this meeting that we see Miranda officially come up for the first time and speak. As I mentioned in my recent video about Bonkers, um, Miranda, when she was showing up, only appeared in a cameo as a desk secretary to the chief, and was hinted at the end of the final review episode. So anyway, she comes up, she kind of helps the chief out by picking out the note that he has in his front pocket by saying, "Is this what you're looking for? The information you're looking for?" So basically, the chief, long story short, finally gives the information about this terrorist, bomb criminal, bomb expert terrorist named Fireball Frank. And obviously, this is being, hyped up, basically, or being pointed out as a big case. So what happens is, of course, Lucky, throughout the entire series, is always looking for that one big case that's going to open up his career. It's going to help him break that glass ceiling and get to the next level. So basically, he looks at this one as that opportunity, being that opportunity. And because it's such a big opportunity, he doesn't want Bonkers involved. Not because he doesn't want to endanger Bonkers' safety, but because all the times that there's been a mishap on a big case scenario that would propel Lucky to that next level, something has always happened that has prevented that from happening. Something involving Bonkers, or either in the aftermath or whatever, or during the case or whatever, would prevent that from happening. So he looks at how serious this situation is, and is like, look, I'm going to do this on my own because this is the opportunity that's going to open that door. So basically, again, long story short, Bonkers, kind of in his own unique way, kind of understands that Lucky doesn't want him to get hurt or anything, but decides, okay, I'm going to tag along anyway, you know, even if he doesn't want me to. So he tags along, kind of follows him a little bit, finally gets lucky to say, hey, look, take me along. Well, not gets lucky. Finally, well, basically, he finally gets lucky to. He basically gets lucky to finally agree to let him, you know, join him, basically reluctantly, if you will. And this happens after he saves Lucky's life, and Lucky kind of uses that kind of as bait, kind of a low thing on Lucky's part. Kind of lies to him about, oh, you know, if you help save me from this, I'll help let you join. And he doesn't let him, and then of course he tails him. Bonkers tails Lucky, follows Lucky to a supermarket where Lucky's undercover, and you know, finally it's from there that, I guess reluctantly, he lets Bonkers join him. So again, I know I sound like I'm repeating myself here, but long story short, they arrive at this warehouse where they see Fireball Frank going into. Lucky decides to go in there after him by himself because, again, he sees how big this opportunity is. He even mentions this when he goes into the warehouse. He says that this is the moment that he's been waiting for. That the moment he's been waiting for is finally here, and that this is his big break, egg to the top. So he basically has Bonkers stay behind. Bonkers, of course, doesn't want to, but he kind of gives him that look like, okay, I'll take what you just said literally. And Bonkers is like, okay, whatever, and goes and waits in the car. Unfortunately, what happens is Lucky, in the dark, ends up stepping over a tripwire, sets the whole place off. The whole place is basically rigged, sets it all off. And Bonkers, he's just sitting there waiting, waiting. All of a sudden, he hears the explosion, looks up, boom, breaks the window on the car, in the police car. A shoe comes flying through the air and basically lands right in front of Bonkers, and it's basically Lucky's shoe, and Bonkers assumes Lucky is dead. So, anyway, presuming this, he kind of gets some comfort from, believe it or not, Miranda Wright. And Miranda is obviously there to comfort him, you know, kind of be there as a friend. And she basically sticks with him through thick and thin, kind of sticks with him, sticks side by side with him um, throughout the whole situation. She even is there when Bonkers has, along with his friends, Jitters, Fawn, Grumbles, and Fall Apart, put together some kind of memorial dinner for Lucky. And I do like this. I do like this little nod towards the pilot episode because, as I said in the previous two videos, um, basically this was looked at as a sequel. In fact, you look it up on Wikipedia, and I think it's something I put on there, and some people have added to it. But it's basically New Partners on the Block is looked at as a sequel to Going Bonkers because you know it had the same kind of animation style, it had the CGI rain come back and all that. So it basically had that same kind of environment and feel that you got when you watched Going Bonkers. And again, I like the nod that Larry Lantham gave here because basically I mean, throughout all the episodes, all the Lucky episodes, the only time we ever saw full-fledged, no cameos or anything like that, the only time we saw full-fledged Fawn, Jitters, Grumbles, if you will, at least Fawn and Jitters, was in the flashback to Tune with No Name. And that was it. We didn't see anything else. Yeah, we saw Fawn cameo sometimes as one of the captured tunes in two episodes. But nothing really significant until this. And again, this was a nod to me, not just a nod, but this was also an indication that this was a sequel in a sense. And so basically, they go through the memorial dinner. This is where they discover the cans that Lucky, who had survived, a spoiler for anybody that hasn't seen it, had written down the notes telling somebody, whoever would get them, exactly where he's at, along with a missing FBI agent. And that's a subplot right there. That's how this whole case gets, uh, uh, you know, the spotlight shined on it from the beginning of the episode. Basically, the Fireball Frank character has kidnapped this FBI agent who was trailing him as well. So, anyway, they discover the cans, they see what's written on them and everything, and they try to get help from Miranda's boss because there are divisions, obviously. Tries to get help from Miranda's boss, Sergeant Grading. Grading's not too thrilled about it. Tells us stay away from this guy if you want to have a blossoming career. So they continue looking along with Fall Apart's help. Miranda kind of gets a little irritated with Fall Apart, basically getting right in his face, asking him, where did you find those cans? Where are they from? So anyway, after there's no turn up, no leads or anything, of course Lucky sees them from where he's at. And again, they're in the exact location where the cans are, yet they have no idea that Lucky is just like right around the corner, if you will. Where Lucky is captured at, or where Lucky is right in front of the face, and they just don't know it. So basically, after you have the criminal who notices this as well, Fireball Frank tries to take Bonkers out with a tune bazooka by blowing up he and Lucky's squad car, which also kind of indicates that that's the end of that era. That's basically indicating that this is the end of this era of the Bonkers show. You're blowing up that car in that way, almost seemingly blowing up Bonkers, and that's how they kind of go into commercial there. So fast forward, you know, they Bonkers looks at the last can, reads what it says, finally reads where Lucky is at, and it just dawns on him like, oh shoot, we're right in that location, we're right here, it's up there, you know, because like I said, he's holding the chili pepper can, he still has one left over, and he's reading it, and he sees basically right at the end, Lucky saying he's at the observatory, and like I said, it just dawns on him, and he's like, "Oh shoot, we're right in the observatory's right there. He's in there." So, they again fast forward. They find out where Lucky's at. They go to rescue him and confront Fireball Frank. They tussle, fight. They basically finally capture him. Bonkers, in his own usual way, first of all, sets off the timer by accident on the bomb, and then, I guess finally to Lucky's surprise, does what Lucky says, gets rid of the bomb by swallowing it, by eating it. And long story short, they do, like I said, capture Fireball Frank, and this allows for Bonkers and Miranda to become a team. As a result, sort of promoted, if you will, to another level, and thus placed under the guise, if you will, the guidance, leadership, if you will, of Sergeant Grading. So that happens, and Lucky, yes, finally does get his big break, but not in the way he would think he would, because assumingly, or presumably, to the chief, because the Chief Kanifke in the series, was always played a bit as comic relief at times, and kind of very absent-minded, forgettable, and kind of forgetful at times, but absent-minded, comic relief kind of guy. So basically, he assumes Lucky's dead, and when he sees Lucky, thinks he's a ghost. So basically, he assumes he's dead. And like I said, this is how Lucky gets his big break, by being offered by the FBI agent that had been kidnapped and now rescued a place in the FBI in Washington D.C. Thus, Lucky takes that opportunity, takes the offer. Um, Basically, you have the tunes that were all part of the Lucky Paquel era, if you will, the show, the 42 Lucky Paquel episodes. Uh, you have them all basically agreeing to go with Lucky. You have Bonkers literally giving Lucky toots to guide him, or to protect him, take care of him. Then you have Fall Apart agree to go with them because he thinks, oh, I just want to go, I want to be dropped off here or there or there, or oh, I'll just stay in the Alpha Tower or whatever. Because he thinks the Alpha Tower is in Washington. Another comedic thing about Fall Apart is he doesn't really know much. Well, he does know much, but he doesn't really know where certain things are and stuff like that, or how to do certain things on his own. So, and then of course, like I say, you have the Roderick radio go with them as well. And again, that's just basically, I think, to quote what somebody said on Wikipedia, subsequently wrote those tunes out of the show. You have Dill and Marilyn show up at the end, say their goodbyes, and then you have Lucky giving away his badge that he got when he became a detective, giving it to Bonkers. It says his goodbye, and thus you have Miranda and Bonkers become a team officially right then and there. Because Miranda's like, hey, look, I'll do what I can to fill his shoes. Bonkers doesn't understand at first what she's saying until she explains it, and thus you get the beginning of the Miranda Bonkers era, which leads us into the Miranda Bonkers cartoons, which 9 of them actually were previewed